Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining our EPIK 2015 Spring First webinar. My name is Daisy Bian and I'm our organizer for today's webinar. I really hope you have great opportunities to get informative tips from this webinar and have answers to what you have wanted to know. The presenter of today's webinar is Korvia's PR manager, Stephen Heddersley. He will share the EPIK's brief process. There will be a Q&A session after the presentation, so please stay with us until the end of the presentation. Then let's start Kobia's first webinar for EPIK Spring 2015. Please welcome the presenter of today, Stephen Heddersley.
Hey guys, welcome to the EPIK Starters Guide. We're all so grateful that you guys are here, and we're hoping that you can learn a lot and we can teach you a lot and get you all prepared for your next journey, which hopefully is going to happen in the springtime of next year. My name is Steven, and I'm joined here with a recruiter, Gina Ree. She's actually in charge of the EPIK division of Korvia. So we're going to answer any questions you guys have, but we're also going to have a short little presentation with stuff that we think you should know or people commonly ask us, okay? So today it's all about just learning about EPIK, what it entails, initial documents you need. So let's see what we're going to talk about. First, we're going to introduce the EPIK program, what to expect, debunk some myths that you maybe have read on the internet. We're going to give you the lowdown on teaching, also what to expect and how to push forward and how to prepare yourself. We're going to give you some tips on the submission of the initial documents, specific formats, and how you can submit it. And if you have any questions at all, we're going to answer them. We're going to open up the floor for Q&A, and you can just type a question into the box. Don't worry. It's anonymous. I won't say your name unless maybe by accident I do, but I'll try not to. We'll keep it anonymous, and then you can just ask any question you may have, and we'll answer it to the best of our knowledge. Okay? So let's get in. First, why should you use Korvia? And a lot of people ask this question on boards, and they ask it to us and say, why should I use Korvia and not just apply directly? I heard you can apply directly with EPIK. Isn't it always better to apply directly? Well, all these people, I think, can attest. We just had the fall 2014 EPIK term just began, and we met all these great people that we'd been working with for a while, and they were all really satisfied and happy. But beyond that, beyond the smiles, we think the reasons you should use Korvia is, well, I think the reasons you should use Korvia is, we're here to provide support before and after arriving. A lot of other recruiting agencies or even some actual official programs, maybe after you come here, they're done with you and you never hear from them again. But actually, we're here before to help you come and after arriving all the way until you leave. Also, we help you with document preparation. You will find that documents is probably going to be one of the more confusing aspects of coming to Korea, one of the more difficult things, because there's so many. Korea's, it's really competitive, and Korea's pretty strict on stuff, so you have to prepare documents correctly and quickly. And so that's why we're here, is we have all this experience for years helping people get these documents, so we're going to give you exact things you need to know. We're also going to give you revision suggestions. Sometimes people fill out, the EPIK application and they don't know what to put for a certain field, or they write something that we think EPIK wouldn't be too fond of. We can say, hey, we found more success if you put this instead of this. Okay. So number 3, Korvia's Teachers Network. We have quite a large network of all the teachers that have been here that have been placed through us. Online and offline. We have parties 3 times a year, and this allows other teachers in different programs, EPIK, SMOE, all to get together and to meet each other. But also we have the Korvia EPIK and GEPIK boards on Facebook, which is where you can ask questions to teachers that are alongside you, previous teachers, and ones that are going through the same process as you. So you're not just getting feedback from your recruiter, but also you're getting feedback from other teachers that we've helped build a community with. And number 4, I think this is the biggest one, is backup options. I've got to be honest, it's become you might be thinking, oh yeah, I'm probably the first one. You know, there's not that many people that apply to teach in Korea. Actually, a lot of people apply to teach in Korea. It's become really popular in recent years. And so it's not always possible for everyone that applies to get into the program they want. So that's the thing is, if you were to apply directly and not get into EPIK, what do? All of a sudden you have to start all over again. But not with us, because we have other programs we can help you into, and also we have other miscellaneous positions, teaching positions that aren't through a program that we can help you into. So it's really just more a safer, better supportive option. Okay? So before we move into the main talk, I want to go over something. We did this with the GEPIK webinar. We did this a couple months ago, and I want to say about real talk. Consider these points before moving ahead, because I'm sure you guys, when you were getting into this process, you were looking at message boards, and it seems like recruiters always just say, yeah, we'll give you everything you want, you know, like, oh, yeah, you want a mansion? Yeah, we'll give you a mansion. Or like, yeah, you can teach 1 hour a day, and that's fine. Nah, we're going to give you the actual lowdown. And if these things don't sound great to you, maybe reconsider. You know, we really want to attract serious teachers, serious people that are interested in coming to Korea, not just someone who's just, you know, for the heck of it, right? Okay, so let's get into it. Number one, EPIK is competitive. Are you flexible? Yes, EPIK is very competitive. SMOE is very, very competitive. But if you're flexible, you will be able to land a position. Just remember that you might be thinking, oh, Seoul must be the only developed city in Korea. It's not. There's tons of cities that you would think are going to be tiny, but they're actually 5 times as large as your hometown. So be flexible with location. Also be flexible with programs as well. Because EPIK is so competitive, it's kind of changed the environment, okay? Point number 2, public school, I believe, is the better route, but it also is the more difficult route. There is a lot more of a screening process with public schools because technically you are, you know, employee of the government. So it's going to be a lot more stricter, but I believe personally it's the better route. So just keep that in mind. 3, teaching is your main purpose for being here. You might think, yeah, I'm going to go there and learn Korean and, you know, learn to make, you know, beautiful art and all this stuff. But actually teaching, this is a job, not like an excursion program to like get you exposed to Korean culture. Teaching is the main purpose. It's a full-time job, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So just remember that. That should be your main focus for coming here. Being adaptable and having the professional teacher attitude will also ensure your success here. Remember, it is a job. You don't want to slack off. It's like you want to try your best. You want to, you know, make it appear that you're trying your best, and your workplace will honor that. Okay. Number 5, do you have an open mind? How open is it? If I said, do you have an open mind? Most people, hopefully, will say 99% will say, yeah, I have an open mind. And you say, oh, well, do you have an open mind about a new culture? And they'll say, yeah, you know, I'd love to try kimchi, or I'll definitely, you know, like to learn a new language. But you also have to go beyond that and think that this is a different country that's, you know, been on its own from, you know, the West, completely different from the West, developed for thousands of years. They might have different views on, you know, what animals they eat. They might have different views on homosexuality. They might have different views on, you know, gender equality. That's all things is not going to bother you too much if you come here. So I invite you to really ask yourself how open your mind is. Number 6, you will make a difference in students' life directly or indirectly. I was a teacher, in fact, before I came to Korvia, and I admit I came here and I wasn't that interested in, I wasn't that fond of children, but you know, after I taught here, it really opened me up, and I really enjoyed my students. And actually, I remember on my last day when I was saying goodbye to my 6th graders, which are notorious in Korea for being kind of a little rough. But I was really sad, and I was just like, I told them good luck, and you know, they made an impression on me, and hopefully I made an impression on them. Okay, so I invite you to, again, check out this slide when we post it later, and just ask yourself if these things are all right with you. If they are, perfect. we will move ahead, and we'd love to see you here in the springtime. Okay, so popular question is, what locations are offered through EPIK? And if you look at this map, this is a map of South Korea with the different provinces as well as some cities listed on here. EPIK is the national program, and EPIK and SMOE are operated under the same kind of management almost for placement. EPIK handles SMOE's placement. If you look at this map, everything on here is gone through EPIK, except where it says Gyeonggi, where it says Seoul. Below it says Gyeonggi. Gyeonggi, that little region, if you look, Seoul is that little bullseye in that area. That bigger gray region around it, that's Gyeonggi, which is the EPIK program, okay? But everything else, all these pretty colors, that is the EPIK program, okay? Including Jeju Island, which is off to the south. Okay, so getting further into that for placement, it really comes down to two things. Are you want to go to a metropolitan office of education or a provincial office of education? Think of a metropolitan office of education as it's a really large city in Korea, and it's so large, in fact, that they need their own office of education to handle all the teachers and the foreign teachers that are going to be coming to that area. Then think of provincial as it's a big, large area with multiple cities within. Okay, so that they will spread teachers out to multiple cities within there. Now, that's not saying that provinces are just made up of really rural small towns. Actually, a lot of, in many provinces, there's many different cities that are actually of decent, of large size, kind of what you'd be used to. I can say that better. What you'd be used to back home as a large city is what is included in provinces. If you guys want to get a better idea of what these provinces are, we have a great video on the Korvia YouTube channel where we go over some areas that people don't know about and show off some pictures, and you'll be blown away and think, wow, that was completely different than I thought it would be. As for metropolitan cities, we also can place you into, or you can be placed into metropolitan offices of education in EPIK. Here are some numbers generally. Seoul, yeah, it has about 10 million people in it. But then maybe something you've never heard of, Ulsan, that has over 1 million people in it. And so these, metropolitan areas are really, there's a lot of people in them, okay? So what are some positives? We could go to pros and cons for days, but I just want to list a couple positives of both because really they do have their own strengths. So for metropolitan offices of education, I think positives are, there's a greater access to things you're familiar with. There's a lot more people. There's probably more foreigners. So you can probably buy things that maybe not available in province areas. Also, there's rapid transportation, probably more of a nightlife. International food options, maybe you're really into Mexican food, and I remember I went to Daegu and I found a Mexican restaurant. I was very surprised by that. But yeah, international food options and also shopping. But for provincial, I think there's also just as good of strengths, just in a different way. First, it's less competitive. If you put down that you want Seoul and you don't get it, Seoul is the most popular placement location. But provinces, they're a little bit less competitive. Generally, the apartments are larger because there's more space and less people. You also can possibly be eligible for a rural allowance. If you need to, if you're in a rural area, they'll give you an extra 100,000 won a month. Also, there's more of a celebrity factor. In big cities, especially Seoul, there's foreigners everywhere, so Koreans are pretty used to just seeing foreigners. But when you're in these provincial areas, maybe you'll really stick out, and people will approach you and want, I don't know, talk to you, take pictures with you. But and the last one is I will generally say that there's probably more relaxed schools. You have to think about in big cities that those people are coming from probably bigger colleges and they have a really strict minds of what education should be, whereas in a province they'll probably give you more flexibility and more slack. Okay, so as I said, good points for both. Really do your research, look into it, and see what's right for you. Okay, so now I'm going to go through a section we like to call the school life. Which is a collection of, originally we just had all these points listed out as bullets, like remember this, And then I just tossed it all away. And I just found some pictures from when I was teaching that explain the same points. And I think it does it a lot better. So I'm going to teach you all about pretty much what teaching is like in South Korea. First of all, I taught in a city called Bhutan, and I was actually in the EPIK program, but I have a lot of experience with the EPIK program as well. This was the only picture I saw of Bhutan before coming to South Korea. This was on the Wikipedia, and I just looked at it for days, and I was just like, I can't tell if it's big or if maybe that's the biggest city. It was kind of an overcast day, so it looks kind of sad, and I was just like, oh God, I don't know if this is the right choice for me. You know, I really wanted this bigger city because I came from a small countryside town. I gave it a shot, and then I came, and this is what it looked like, and I was blown away. This is a small, what is considered a small suburb of Seoul, and I was blown away, and I still live there, in fact, today, even though I'm not teaching anymore. So do your research, try to find as many pictures as you can, research the locations, and you'll find out a lot more about the city you're going to. Another thing, this is my co-teacher. You'll have a co-teacher, maybe multiple co-teachers. And behind her, this is what, you know, a big touch smart TV that this is how you pretty much teach is each of your textbooks, they come with an interactive CD that is the same content as the textbook, just in digital form, so you can touch around and go into different things. Maybe they'll have dialogues, maybe they'll have songs and stuff. It's all accessed through this. So yeah, that's my co-teacher, and she's just helping us teach a section called Sick in Bed, as you can see. I believe this was 5th grade. Your happiness and your livelihood here will probably be determined mostly by your co-teacher. You're going to be working with them every day, and that's going to be your primary liaison with your school, because most likely your school's upper management won't be able to speak English. So make sure when you come that you're just, you know, really, really studious and really respectful and kind to your co-teacher, because through them, all things are possible in South Korea, okay? She was really into Rubik's Cube, so when I went back to the United States for a vacation, I got her a Rubik's Cube, and she was addicted to it shortly after. This is what a classroom looks like. We had a refurbished classroom, so it was all kind of new stuff. But this is generally what they look like. As you can see, no carpet. Carpet's not popular in South Korea. But you have, you know, about 30 students, 26 to 30 students. In the back, that big glass, I was actually to an English book cafe. And if all the way in the back of that picture is my desk, if you can see that. So that's maybe what your office will look like, or maybe you'll have your own teacher's office in a completely different room. Yeah, and these are some of my students. This was 5th grade. As you can see, they're studying very hard. As you can see, the girl in the front is definitely not paying attention at all. But I was taking pictures, so I guess I can't be too angry at them. But yeah, these students, like I said, will grow on you. But yeah, you'll have about 24 to about 30 students per class, maybe all the way up to 35. This is a timetable. We had this posted in our classroom, and it's actually very important, so I will zoom in on that. You guys might be wondering, like, you know, how many classes am I teaching a day, or, you know, what times am I even doing that? This is how it's going to look. You're supposed to be here for, Gina, it's 22 hours, right? It hasn't changed. 22 teaching hours a week. So each one of these blocks represents pretty much 1 hour. So usually about every day we'd have 4 classes, and then after that it would be office time, where you would lesson plan, or, you know, do what other things you had to do. And then occasionally, you know, since 22 is not the nicest round figure, sometimes you'd have 5 classes, or maybe you have 5 classes 3 times a week, and, you know, 2 classes one day. It all depends on the schedule of your school, okay? But that's how it will be organized. So generally, you'll be teaching about 4 classes a day. This is, again, this isn't the widest picture, but those are the CDs on the right, interactive CDs that come with the textbook, and on the left you have the textbook. And they also come with a teacher's guide, which really helps, and it's in English, and it tells you, what you should do for this section or how you should teach it. And I know you guys are freaking out right now, and you're like, how do I make a lesson plan in Korea? The teacher's guide will help you. The textbook will be your backbone, as well as the interactive CDs, and we'll get more into that later. at a later webinar. You might also be required or expected to do extracurricular things. I was really into making videos, so my school really wanted me to do an English broadcast every week. And so I just had fun with it. I brought my camera from home and we made little videos in English like every week and had a lot of fun. On the left, the top left, we did like a James Bond episode of like, you know, action English, like let's go, let's run, let's walk, let's eat, you know, things like that. And on the bottom right, I remember we were doing something with adjectives. I can't remember now, but I even got my co-teacher to be involved, and it was a lot of fun. It's like being a kid again. Sometimes I think I scared my co-teacher by how much of a child I turned into when making these videos. But yeah, this is what a school lunch would probably look like. As you can see, you might not know what any of that food is, but school lunches I will actually say are decently good. There was nothing I absolutely hated, and always come with soup, always came with rice, and always came with some different stuff. Sometimes they even have some Western stuff on the menu, as you can see on the top left. That's like a waffle. I don't know how that mixes with waffles, soup, and rice, but you know, sometimes it's like that. But yeah, they will definitely have some pretty good food for you guys, and you'll be fed every day, except Saturday and Sunday. These were my other co-teachers and mix of other teachers on my same floor, and we had you'll have teacher excursions where you go as a trip with those teachers or as your school as a whole. So I remember this day we all went to like a cafe or something like that. We had to take a picture as proof to our principal, so we just posed and then pretty much left this book cafe. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I miss those teachers a lot now that I look at it. This is a picture from the window of my classroom looking out at the school. As you can see, Bhutan was pretty large compared to what I was expecting. And a lot of Korea will surprise you like that. Korea is actually a very modernized country. And finally, this is the students I left behind. This is my sixth graders before they graduated. And yeah, I can still name all of them, and when I see them around Bhutan, I still say hello to them, and they say hello to me. So just know, you know, it's just like any teacher you had. If they made a difference in your life, you know, when you saw them around the next year, you'd say hello, and then they'll eventually move on to middle school and to high school, and depending on how long you're here, you might see them a couple years later. So they will make a difference in your life, and it is something that will make a positive in your life. Okay? So let's go into some key points about schools. You might be wondering, what are the ages like? Elementary schools, grades age 1 through 6. And generally they start at about 6 years old in Korea. Middle school is grades 7 to 9, which is maybe a little bit different from back home. They start at 12. And high school is only 3 years here. It's grades 10 to 12, and they usually start at about 15 years old. All these different types of school are very different in terms of what you can expect. It's just like, you know, back home, if you look at the personalities and the, you know, motivation of different age groups, they're very different. Generally, your working hours will be 8:40 to 4:40 p.m. You'll be teaching 22 hours a week, and you'll be teaching classes. You'll be making English tests. You might have some after-school classes, and you might also do some weekly broadcasts. A positive. Sometimes after-school classes, if you didn't equal 22, after-school class will be for other grade levels in order to be a part of that 22. Sometimes if you're maxed out at 22 and they want you to teach after-school classes, they'll come up with a fund for you, and you can actually be paid extra. I've heard of that happening as well. Class sizes, 24 to 30 students, as I said before. Curriculum, it's all textbook-based. Don't have to worry. You're not going to be making stuff up every single day. You'll have the textbook as a backbone, and you can make up your own games and activities as you'd like. And class length is generally 40 minutes per class. Okay? Here is the EPIK timeline. First, we're going to start with the initial documents, which is the application phase. And that's going to be right up until October 1st. Then you're going to have your interview in late October to November with EPIK. You've already had it with Korvia, but you're going to have another one with EPIK. Then you're going to have your document submission. Actually, let me just throw all these points up here right now so I can, yeah, so you can see it. yeah, so your document submission is going to be from about late October to early December. That's when you're going to, after your interview and you get the positive confirmation, you're going to be rushing to get all your documents together and sent. Then after they receive your documents and everything checks out, you will get official placement results, which will be sometime around December. Then in January, you'll waltz down with a special number to your local Korean consulate, and you'll be able to obtain your visa. And then finally, mid-February, you'll depart to South Korea. We'll meet you at the airport, and you will start orientation. Just started. Wow, Gina, really just started like a couple days ago. So, yeah, you know, teachers are here for 5 days or so, have been here for 5 days. So we're just coming off the EPIK fall schedule. Okay, and I forgot interview results as my animation just messed up, but interview results are in between the interview and the document submission. Okay. All right, so remember, application phase, interview phase, document submission phase, obtain visa phase, and your departing phase. And right now we're in initial documents. And as we continue to do webinars in the future, we're going to go through each of these steps for you, okay? So these are the initial documents that you need to submit very soon. First, it's going to be the completed EPIK application. All these fall under initial documents. We have two kind of document submission phases: initial documents and then primary documents. Initial documents are the things you need to in order to get an interview with EPIK. Okay. So first, you need a completed EPIK application form. You need a personal essay attached to that, as well as a sample lesson plan attached to the EPIK application. And then finally, you need letters of recommendation. Okay, so let's take a look at things you need for the EPIK application. If you look in that top right-hand corner of the EPIK application, it says you must insert a passport quality photo in professional attire here. So we're going to go over things that we often get questions about. Before we do that, we're going to talk about new. The EPIK application actually did change for 2014, not 2014, I'm sorry, 2015. Changed in 2014 for 2015, if that makes sense. There's three things that are updated. First is they want to know your current job status, you know, if you currently have a job, if you're currently unemployed. Second, they also want to know, they provide a lesson plan format. Before, people had to make it completely from scratch, but now they actually provide a format, which is great. It's going to help you guys out a lot. And then third is they have a reference letter details, like field of the application, to where you'll give some information about who you received the letters of recommendation from, so that they don't have to guess and all that stuff or read the, you know, the letter 100 times in order to get the information they need out. So I take a sip of coffee. So in that form up top, we're talking about passport photos, and we want to talk to you about what is considered acceptable. So this, when I applied to Korvia, I sent this photo. I was like, that's a good photo. You know, it's black and white, brings out my eyes, brings out the 2 o'clock shadow, 5 o'clock shadow. And they rejected it. I said, okay, I'll try again. Sent them this one. As you can see, it's probably pulled from Facebook. It was in color this time. I was looking at the camera, and they said no. I sent them this one, and I was like, okay, this has got to be the one. You know, there's no extraneous cell phone in the thing. It's a very abstract background. This is going to be the one. I'm looking direct at the camera. They can see my face perfectly, and then they still rejected it. And so I said, okay, I'll try one more time. I took one like this, and that is actually what they're looking for. They're looking for a very plain, basic, but professional-looking photo that was taken. So you might be wondering, oh, God, do I have to go down to a pharmacy? And you know, they're so expensive to get these kinds of photos taken. It's $20 for like 2. We have a solution for you guys, and that is www.epassportphoto.com. We do not have a partnership or anything with them, but this is a website that a lot of our recruits use. What you do is you take your own picture with your smartphone or camera against a white backdrop, white wall, or put a white sheet up temporarily. And then what they're going to do is you upload that photo to this website. This is all for free, by the way, and it'll crop it to exact passport specifications. And then you'll click download, and it'll download like a picture file of the exact passport photo sizes of like 5 or 6 on a sheet. And then you take that to your local pharmacy and just print it on their photo paper at a photo printing machine. And it's like you can get 6 photos for like $1.50. Whereas if you take official passport photos, size photos at that same pharmacy, it's $20 for 2. So So epassportphoto.com. This is a really great website. It's completely free, and a lot of our teachers use it. Okay. So let's go into EPIK application. Most of the EPIK application is pretty self-explanatory, but we're going to go over some things that some people leave out or they often get confused by. So first, on, how do I say this? On subject line number 5, the interview contact information area, make sure to list a secondary phone. Even if you don't, you usually mostly use your cell phone and you would never use your landline. Just write the landline just in case of your family or at your house, or even a work phone or something like that, just in case of emergency where they need to contact you immediately, okay? Other thing is, only use the month, year format. Some people will put in, September, they'll write out September, 10th, 2014. Just write the month and the year format. So September 09, year 14, okay? It's something that irks EPIK, that we've found that a lot of people say, it's not that big of a deal, but, it's best not to irk EPIK. Oh, and I forgot, also for the interview contact information, it'll say that they're available from these times. I believe it's 9:20 to 11, and then 1:20 to 7. Even if you're available and you're unemployed, don't write that you're available from that complete spectrum of times. Make it write down a time for 100% you're always home by. It can be a span of 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, but don't just say 9:20 to 5 o'clock, I'm completely free. It doesn't look that great, okay? And then for those that haven't graduated, what you're gonna do is you're gonna need to obtain an official current GPA on your transcript. So go down to your Office of Registrar and request official transcripts, even though they won't be finished because you're still enrolled and you haven't gotten the grades for this semester yet. Still request them, then open them, and you can find out your GPA as of now. And then you can put that in this field. Then when you do graduate, you have to order new transcripts anyways for EPIK. And you can specify your final GPA and then send them to Korvia, okay? So if you haven't graduated, you're still enrolled in college right now, still get your current official GPA as of the last semester and put it on here. Cumulative, I'm sorry, for your cumulative GPA as of today, okay? So let's go on to more parts of the EPIK application. We're going to go over salary levels, job applicants, and placement preferences. Okay. So if you have not graduated yet, a lot of people are confused by this pay scale. If you have not graduated yet, please check level 3, the beginner salary level, okay? That is your current qualification and your expected qualification. For joint applicant, I believe, let me get these all up. Also, enroll in a TEFL course now. If you read that field, it says current level 3 applicants may still apply, but all applicants must be at least level 2 by the contract start date. That means you need to get a TEFL course now if you have not, if you did not major in English education or another English-related major. Okay, so start looking into TEFL courses and get prepared to take one of those because that did become a requirement as of 2014. Okay. You don't need it, to be enrolled by the time you submit these documents, but you do need to have at least an idea in your head of your schedule for obtaining or completing a TEFL course. Also, for a joint applicant, joint applicants are for married couples only. Engaged couples, boyfriends, girlfriends, you can't use this option. However, for other relationships, if you're coming with your brother, your sister, your twin, or even a friend, there's another section, section 8, that says, are you applying with any other person, excluding joint applicants? This is where you can list them down and that they can try their best to put you in a similar location or the same city. It's not guaranteed by any means, but they will make that effort if they can. Okay, it all depends on timing and it all depends on numbers for that semester. And finally, for placement preference, as you can see, it says list one specific preferred office of education, either metropolitan or provincial. You can write that down here. As we said before, be flexible, because if the preferred area you specify is full, they'll randomly place you to another area that they do have positions with. So if everyone wrote down Seoul and then only the first 50 people got Seoul, they're going to distribute randomly to the other areas. So if you're like, you know what, don't think I would be a strong candidate for Seoul. I want to go to Daejeon. I guess that's not that popular. Most likely, you would probably get Daejeon then if you put that as your preference. Okay, but like I said, if you pick a really popular area and you don't get it, they're going to randomly place you. Okay. And I already went to the next slide, but there's also a box that said, if you do not get this, would you like to continue or would you like to drop out? And you can fill that in, okay? Also, moving on from the EPIK application is you have to include also a personal essay, and this is really easy. It's 500 to 800 words, 2-page maximum. Don't be under 500, don't be over 800, it won't be accepted. You're gonna write 5 paragraphs. Do the basic form we all learned growing up. Introduction, the 3 key points, and then conclusion. So the questions you have to answer in this essay are: describe why you want to teach in Korea. Describe your philosophy, your teaching philosophy. What is the best method you think for teaching or learning language? And also describe your thoughts on encountering cultural differences. How should a person deal with living in a different culture rather than their own? So describe those 3 things in a nice 5-paragraph essay, and also write it in a size 11 font. Don't you guys find that funny? If I don't know, I'm 26 years old. I swear that in high school and middle school, it was always size 12 font, and now it's become size 11. I don't know what kind of conspiracy this is, but I found that interesting. Size 11 font, Times New Roman or Arial, or Calibri if you want to use that. Okay, so after you complete that, then it's going to go on to the lesson plan. As we said, new for this year, really helpful. They are going to provide the format for you, so you can just fill it in with what you come up with. But you're going to make a lesson plan, a demo lesson plan. So you need to, in the past, you'd actually be able to choose a grade level, but now it's elementary school level. They want you to make one focus. Even if you really want to teach high school in Korea, you still have to make a demo lesson plan for elementary school level, okay? So with that in mind, make something that's for about 30 to 35 students. And like we said, the template is included in the EPIK application download. They want you, besides listing down what you're going to do, they want you to create supplemental material. So if you want to make worksheets go along with this lesson, or a game, or certain PowerPoint picture slide or something like that. They want you to include that supplemental material, and you print that out. So if you had 6 slides that were a fun little game, you can print out those 6 slides for a page and attach it to your lesson plan. Beyond everything, though, focus on the lesson plan. A good lesson plan will speak for itself. You don't necessarily need supplemental material. If your lesson plan is good, is really solid, they can imagine it, and that's the most powerful thing. Is when they read your lesson plan, if they can imagine what you're going to do, that's even better than having all these flashy pictures. Also, a little key point: concentrate on conversation and speaking. Don't have to do so much grammar. They're really, because students can learn grammar and vocabulary from a textbook, but really they can't. That's why we're here, is to help them with conversation and speaking, because they're not able really to do that without a native. And the lesson plan should be about 2 to 5 pages in length, and that includes your supplemental material. Okay. There's a little subpoint under there that's really technical. When we post this online, you can read that more thoroughly. And moving on to one of the last things you're going to need for the initial documents is the letters of recommendation. And so we drafted up an example of what a letter of recommendation should look like from an official school. It's real, 100% real. Why would we lie to you on this? It's called Korvia University. So we're going to show you exactly what it needs to have. Korvia University, what a great university. I think it's due to overtake Harvard and Yale soon. Anyways, the letter of recommendation must include letterhead, which is a little image or a special paper that it's printed on. There is an alternative that we'll mention in a few minutes. It needs to have the date written on the top right-hand corner or somewhere on the paper. You cannot use letter of recommendations that are older than 2 years currently, okay? So if you did, you can have them read it again, or you need to get new ones entirely. Also, it needs to include a title position. Who, the person that's recommending you, how are they, related to you or in a relationship with you? They are, that sounded weird. Title position. So, for example, if there's your supervisor, your manager, they're the president of this company and they worked with you, make sure they specify their position title. Also, needs to have a contact email and phone number so that they can double check with the reference and verify. So make sure they list their phone number as well as their email address. And finally, it needs an ink signature. This cannot be a digital signature. It actually needs to be written in ink on the original copy, okay? So yeah, even if they type this letter out and they want to do it with the digital pen, it has to be ink, and EPIK will check for that, okay? So, as I said before, if they won't print on their letterhead, some schools just won't do it unless you're an employee or it's an official business. EPIK does permit a business card of the writer to be included of the scan of the letter of recommendation. So you do not necessarily have to be printed on letterhead. You would need, if you can't get letterhead, to have a business card with it. And all these documents you're going to be sending for initial documents are going to be sent digitally to your recruiter. So when you scan your letters of recommendation, just set the business card on top so it won't block anything of the letter of recommendation, and then scan. Okay, so the initial document submission rounds, we actually have 2 rounds. This is because we have a lot of applicants. We have a first round, which the deadline is, hey, it's today, September 5th. Maybe where you guys are, it's September 4th. But the first round deadline, we've been helping people already, September 5th, but then never fear. There's going to be a second round, and the deadline is from September 11th to September 17th. Okay, so make sure to submit your documents by then. Be sure to submit the following documents to your recruiter as an email attachments. Remember, it's the completed EPIK application with the application, the essay, and the lesson plan, and also your 2 letters of recommendation. Also, for that application, be sure to include a photo if you can fit it into that space through the Microsoft Word document. And finally, wow, this was a long one. Sorry this took so long, but we just want to make sure you guys are as prepared as possible. Remember, as we always say at Korvia, if you work hard and you prepare all your documents, and most importantly, are flexible, regardless if it's with EPIK, you will come to South Korea in March. Okay? So remember, work hard, be flexible, and we will try our hardest, and we will try our best, and we will look forward to working with you. Okay? So,